Waterfall, the CCW podcast.
Hello and welcome to Waterfall. It's the Water Saving podcast brought to you by CCW. That's the Consumer Council for Water. Waterfall's all about saving water, saving money, protecting the environment and combating climate change. I'm Mike and I am here on this very special episode, which is the best of Waterfall with Cath. Hi, Cath.
Hiya, Mike. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I can't wait to get through these clips, Cath. I mean, there's something special in this episode, isn't there? There's something for everyone.
There really is.
And of course, we've got producer Tom's here. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Hi, Mike. Hi, Cath. Hi, everyone. I'm great. You know, it's I love these look backs, and I'm particularly proud of season 3. I think we did a great job, if I do say so myself, and some good clips coming.
I think Tom said, very well produced. Season 3. Right. If you'd like to tell us your thoughts on how well the production has gone on season 3, please do drop us an email. You can. We've got an email address.
We've got an email. It is podcast@ccwater.org.uk.
And of course, you can find us on the socials. We're on CCW's channels, which is CCW Voice. So just search on CCW Voice and you will find all sorts of lovely watery content, including waterfall content. So we're going to crack on with today's episode because it is ram-packed with watery goodness. It's the best of season 3, and there is some insightful stuff, there's some funny stuff, there's some slightly cringy stuff, but it's a smorgasbord of. I never thought I'd get that into this episode.
Well done.
I know. So, Cath, we thought we'd start with you because you are our co-host, and you shared with us some personal stories, and the one that we're going to focus on, just to kick us all off, and we're going to have a run of 3 clips here. The first one is your absolute embarrassment of your water night. So what were you thinking?
I know. How am I not sacked yet? Having
just
wasted
hanging on in
water.
there. And then Karen, who is not here today, she had been incredibly evasive for years about her water use. So that is finally revealed. And then we've got possibly producer Tom's finest hour. Just how quick is Tom at getting the top trivia question right? I mean, Tom, come on, surely this is your highlight of season 3.
There's so much good stuff on season 3, and I think maybe Cath's story might be my highlight.
It is very funny. It is very funny. Let's get on with these 3 clips because they are great. But episode 30 of Waterfall was all about water night. Do you remember that one?
I do, yes. This is the Australian initiative, isn't it? Where people go without using their water for an evening and helps build up that awareness of how much we use and how essential it is.
That's right. And at the end of that episode, we said we'd love it if that happened in the UK, or we should try and take this forward. Well, our friends at Waterwise, they were clearly listening because they ran with the idea, and it's happened. It happened last month. So that's fantastic. It's great that the ideas that we were sharing on Waterfall are actually then being taken forward. So that's so good. But I do have to confess that in my house, we didn't do water night because the day it was on, I was working late down in London, so I wasn't back for most of the evening. Oh. And in fact, it was probably like the opposite of water night because every night I'm nagging the kids, turn that off. Do you really have to have that shower that long? So actually, they had some peace and quiet. So I suspect, rather embarrassingly, our water use went up during water night and not down. So, not great. How was your water night experience?
Well, let me tell you, Mike, if you think your water use went up, it's probably nothing compared to what happened in my house.
Oh, yeah. So, hold on. Should you be telling this story publicly?
I don't know. Am I about to release details into the public? I'm going to tell you anyway. You know I like to overshare. So in my house, I was in the office, and I often don't get back till 8ish from the office. And it was a really horrible day, wasn't it? It was really rainy on water night. Just
that was how fitting.
Yeah. So my partner had got home sometime earlier, had decided that he was going to have a bath, had left that running. Somebody had come to the door, then he'd gone off and cooked his tea. And I'd looked out of the back door at about 10 o'clock and said, my goodness, I can still hear the rain coming off the roof, even though it stopped raining, thinking it must have rained so hard. At which point he went, oh, and disappeared. And it turned out that he'd been running a bath since about 5 o'clock and noticed at about 10 o'clock. So it obviously, thankfully, the bath overflow had seen off most of it, but there was still water all over the bathroom floor. So yeah, for water night in my house, what we did is run the hot tap for 4 hours. Plus.
Wow, a very literal interpretation of water night.
Not what we were looking for, Mike. Not what we were looking for at all.
Wow, so was there permanent damage to your house?
Thankfully, no. As I say, the overflow was really doing its job, and that's why I could hear the water gushing down the drain outside where the bath was probably going, stop. Oops.
Wow.
We'll do better next year.
Wow, that's pretty poor from both of us for water night, although your story's far funnier than mine.
Shows we didn't really get into the spirit of it.
No, but great that water night did happen here in the UK, and we're very sorry, Waterwise, for our poor performance.
Perhaps listeners can send in their water saving stories just to make our performance look even worse.
Yeah, but it's good that we've brought back our confession slot into Waterfall. So yeah, pretty bad from both of us. But before we get into that, we've got some really big news, don't we? We have been wondering for, well over a year now, what on earth does Karen do with her water? You've finally got your water meter fitted. So come on, Karen, spill the beans. First of all, tell us the story about your water meter.
I think it's fair to say that there was a bit of confusion about when my meter was installed. So I've been waiting and have finally got round to talking to my local company and have got my meter in place. And I'm very pleased to say that having followed all our tips on water saving, and obviously I do practice what I preach, I've been quite impressed with how my water use has come down quite a lot. So
come on, the big reveal, Karen.
I want a drum roll.
Oh, well, it's been a long time coming. I don't think a drummer can play that long.
Well, the good news is, if you were to look at our water table from an earlier episode, I would actually come in fourth after the guest we had from the RHS, Mark Gush.
Wow.
My average water use, when you look at, sort of as an average basis, is around 58 litres of water a day.
Oh my word, that is incredible. But Karen, look, that is very impressive. And your guru status is, it was cemented already, but now it's like, it's not just cemented, it's gold plated, it's platinum plated. That is mightily impressive. But you can't just do a Cath and place yourselves wherever you want on our water table, our league table, because you are going to be featuring Series 3's league table, not Series 2. So that's gone, Karen. That's gone.
Well, in that case, I'm going to have to start trying a bit harder, aren't I?
No, I think you might be winning in this series so far. Again, now I'm doing a Cath, right? But that is fantastic. And do you know what? You have looked 10 years younger since you've had this water meter fitted. It's like the pressure is now off you. You were weighed down with this burden that you might have been giving out hypocritical advice here.
Well, and again, it goes back to what we've said on numerous occasions. But I'm not doing anything that's really sort of making a drastic impact on the way I live my life. I'm just doing all those simple things like keeping the jug by the kitchen sink, catching the water in that. Doing all those things that we've encouraged other people to do. So yeah, it's working.
And of course, some mulching.
That as well.
And so I think now there's only one member of the Waterfall team that sticks out like a sore thumb. Producer Tom.
Yes. I will get it soon. I want to be on the table. I don't know if I'm going to place as high as Karen. But this is what we've learnt, Mike. We're speaking to all these titans of the industry and they don't even know. So what does a lowly podcast producer know,
Well, we'll keep on prodding you until you give us your your water use. So something to look forward to in future episodes. But Karen, seriously, mightily impressive. And that is wonderful. Now, you do know that for my love of toilets, and Karen, I think you're still shell-shocked from the question last time, the not the loo rolls, but the loo scrolls. I think you're still trying to get over that.
I'm still having nightmares about it.
To be fair, you've come back for more recording, so that's a good sign. Slightly under duress, I think. So here's the first question. Do you have some kind of AI assistant at home, like an Alexa?
No, I'm very analogue, me.
Okay, Tom?
I don't actually. They sort of freak me out a little bit, so I kind of avoid.
I'm glad it's not just me.
Okay, well, so our house is fully wired up, right, with our assistants in pretty much almost every room. And your paranoia is probably well placed because it clearly is listening, right? So couple of ours have displays, and on a few months ago, the display had, and this clearly is no coincidence, fact of the day. And the fact of the day was, well, I'm going to pitch it as a question, okay? What was the first American film to feature a toilet flushing?
Wow, that's a really good question.
No, so out of all the films in the world, out of all the American films, which one was that then? Shall I give you a clue? Shall we narrow it down to a decade? It was in the 1960s. A famous thriller.
Is it Psycho?
Oh my word, you are correct.
Is it? Wow.
Well done, Tom.
Regular listeners, I promise you this was no setup, right?
No.
This was
I was just thinking the
100%
shower
no setup.
scene, the famous shower scene, so I don't, yeah.
Wow. Tom, that was very, I was amazed. I'm amazed and impressed.
Actually, the other thing that it also helps with is it makes the case for not spending too long in the shower.
Is that really our top war efficiency message? You might get stabbed to death by a psychopath. I don't know, I think we need to maybe find a slightly more palatable. I'm the one who's shocked now, Karen. So this was the fact of the day. So did you know that Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 film Psycho was the first American film to feature a toilet flushing? There's one that that's going to help you in pub quizzes for years to come. Shall we move on?
Well, that was embarrassing, everybody. I won't be using the podcast as a confessional in season 4. You'll be pleased to know. Oh, well done, Tom, there. Super fast. So, next up, I think you probably all remember, avid listeners, that we had the RHS on in season 2.
RHS?
The RHU, the Royal Horticultural Society, Mike, because Karen and I love a bit of gardening. We find it relaxing and a great opportunity to save water in the home. Mike, however, as we regular listeners will know, mocks us on quite a regular basis for enjoying things like mulching, which is actually a very good thing to do in your garden, as we've now
I'm sure mulching's banned in some countries.
But it turns out I spoke to Moors for the Future Partnership, along with Karen, and learned a whole new word, sphagnum moss, plant that I'd never heard of. But Mike, you already knew about it.
Well, that's right, because Tom from Moors from the Future was talking about sphagnum moss, and he was saying how desperately they need it up in the moors, on the peats. And then Tim Harris, I spoke to, on the episode that was all about his campaigning on the Norfolk Broadsides, I think it was episode 50, Tim was complaining that sphagnum moss was growing everywhere and they had too much of it. So we've got 2 clips here, and I think we just need the listener to work out for themselves. Is sphagnum moss good or bad? Somehow there's tons of it in East Anglia and not enough of it up north. Maybe we could put Tim Harris and Tom from Moors for the Future together. We could be a broker. We could be like sphagnum moss traders.
Broker.
Who'd have thought that's what would have come out of season 3 of Waterfall? Sphagnum moss trading.
The EA said, and Natural England said, oh, not much we can do, no money, all the usual stuff. Anyway, we then thought that wasn't good enough, really, so we raised a judicial review of that decision, because we said, if you've done this in the Ant Valley, because we happen to live here, shouldn't you be looking at the other river systems?
So essentially you're saying, if you've come to one conclusion here, what is the logic behind you not applying the same principles to the other rivers
in the
neighbourhood?
You could apply it throughout the United Kingdom if you wanted to. Anyway, most judicial reviews fail. But ours went to court, and we had a very discerning judge who listened very carefully to the evidence, and he found that our case was not only in breach of European laws, because there's always a risk they'll appeal the European environmental laws, but also against the common law, i.e. against the law of the land. He basically said, you're in breach of your basic duty to look after the environment, and you now need to expend your programme to a whole of the Broads area, which is what's now going on. So we won the judicial review to extend it to the whole of the Broads special area of conservation, which again is another landmark decision. It was also a landmark decision, we're going that way, because it demonstrated that the European conservation laws, which are, in my view, very good laws, sensible, still apply. And it would be a very retrograde step if they appealed them, because, you know, easy to appeal things without knowing their consequences.
Oh, absolutely. So this is really, when you say we, this is you and your wife, right, who've done this action?
Yeah.
Was it just you two alone, or did you have help?
Oh no, we had enormous specialist help from. We have some of the top scientists, but I've been lucky in life. We've been lucky, so I had the money to do this, you know, and we've spent, I don't know, up to £1 million doing all of this.
Wow.
Yeah. And,
Of your own cash?
Yes. But I've been lucky in life, so I'm not complaining. We have a duty. We own this site, and I think it's a public duty to do it, and that's why we've done it. And if we can do something that keeps the Broadlands unique ecological system going for another 100 years, we will have done something for future generations, and that's why we've done it.
Oh, fantastic. I mean,
Better than having a house in Malibu.
Well, a real example of how citizens can make a difference.
Because the sad thing is, I'm going to show you this sphagnum moss we heard about. Yeah, this is sphagnum moss. That is an acid plant, acid loving, and that creates its own acid. So not only does it come because the groundwater, acidic groundwater, is getting deep in the ground, it makes its own acid. It's like a little acid factory, and so it goes on and on and on producing it. That's the problem.
And does this become the dominant plant?
Well, as you can see, look around you. You can see we shouldn't bounce up and down. We're like on a trampoline. That's not right.
So you're creating an unvirtuous cycle here, because if it's becoming more acidic and then you're getting more of the moss, which creates more acids, then you are in a spiral.
That's what the 2016 inquiry demonstrated. And our Dutch colleague was the first guy. It took him a morning. You would have thought our own bodies could have worked out in 4 or 5 years. It took our Dutch specialist one morning to do that. He said, I've seen this before. This is what's happening.
Incredible.
Where we've managed to get extensive cover of sphagnum, that is providing a lot of benefits already in terms of ecological function. So it's, where we've got those wet conditions, that's great for insects, that's therefore great for wading birds and birds of prey and all of this. It's also good for water quality. So we're seeing that 97% reduction in peat getting into the streams. That's an ecosystem benefit already. And the other key one is flood management. So we talk about natural flood management. We're all used to, hard engineered solutions to flooding, so concrete walls in places that flood. Natural flood management is, trying to deal with those kind of problems at headwater catchment source. The sphagnum can hold up to 80% its dry weight in water. That means that when we get really heavy rainfall, the water doesn't just rush off into the streams. It gets held up in the sphagnum, moves really slowly through that covering of sphagnum over those headwater catchments, takes them a lot longer to get into the streams, and therefore spreads out the delivery of stormwater into the rivers, which means that we're not getting all of the water from the uplands coming down into the rivers in a big flash. It's spread out over much more time, so that reduces the impact of flooding downstream, because we get a lower flood wave further down the rivers in places that flood. Obviously, that's very topical right now after Storm Babette just, a few days ago. So yeah, we found so we have this experimental catchment on Kinder where we've done really dense sphagnum planting. We found that there, as a result of the sphagnum and the gully blocking that we've done there as well, we've had a 67 percentage point reduction in peak discharge. So that's the rate of flow coming out of that catchment at the peak of a storm is reduced by 67% as a result of those interventions.
Sphagnum moss, eh? Who knew? I'm sure there's lots of listeners now just looking up, Googling sphagnum moss.
It's quite
where they
hard
can
to
get hold
spell,
of it.
actually, isn't it? It's SPH, I think.
Okay, very good. Well, if you do want to know more about sphagnum moss and purchase some, we can put you in touch.
I think Gwyneth Paltrow has some on her store, so yeah, I think you can go there.
Do you think if you ever went to co-host Karen's garden, it's just full of sphagnum moss?
Yeah, it's not even grass anymore, it's just moss.
Anyway, we'll be coming back to the theme of moss later on the programme.
Spoiler.
So now we're going to, we have to descend into toilet talk. One of my favourite subjects. And there was plenty of toilet talk on season 3 of Waterfall. And one of the messages we do try and get across is what not to flush down the loo. So our first clip will be talking about something unusual down the loo. It certainly isn't something you should flush. And then we'll be exploring the perils of reading on the loo. And that is a minefield. Who knew that was a minefield? But it turns out it is. So we've got a couple of lovely clips there. So before we get to that, I've just got a story for you. You know I love this kind of stuff, right? Here's a story from this week, actually, from BBC News. A woman found something strange in the toilet. Now, I know what should you flush down the toilet, Karen?
It's paper, poo and pee.
Correct. So a woman has found a snake lurking in her toilet. A woman in Wolverhampton, of all places. If you saw a snake in the toilet, what would you do? I reckon I'd flush and run away. What would you do?
I'd certainly be getting up very quickly.
Yeah, I'd be screaming. I'd be terrified.
So she called the police. And the police came round and took it out with a litter picker. They didn't even know what kind of snake it is. It's red. There's a picture of it. It's red and black in beige stripes. But yeah, they have no clue how they got there. How would a snake get into your toilet?
I've no idea. I'm quite impressed by the resourcefulness of the police having a litter picker to hand.
Well, I think the police weren't taking this very seriously because after attending, the West Midlands Police Force said they are, quote, used to the occasional slippery customer. There we go. But yeah. Anyway, so just watch out next time you go to the loo, and remember, everyone, the 3 P's. It's not pee, poo, and pythons. It's pee, poo, and paper. So there you go. But before we get into it, I do want to talk to you two about an interesting news article I saw, and I'm going to predict what the answer is. I'm going to say a yes from Tom and a no from Karen. Right.
Oh.
The question is, do you use your phone on the toilet, like reading the news or whatever? Tom?
I'm constantly using my phone. There is no situation when I'm not using my phone, so yes.
Karen?
And it's a definite no from me.
I thought that would be the case, and it is a yes from me. So, anyway, this is very bad for you, okay? According to Dr. Surab Sethi, who is a gastroenterologist, I can't even say that properly, from San Francisco. Apparently, doing it can give you very bad backache because your position is not a natural position for sitting. It's not meant as a seat for any length of time. But much more serious than that, apparently, sitting there scrolling can increase strain on your rectum and anus and lead to piles, anal fissures, and, most sinister of all, rectal prolapse. I don't even know what that is. Do you know what that is? It doesn't sound good.
No, anything prefixed with rectal, I try and stay away from. So, okay, yeah, maybe I need to, the old newspaper perhaps, get in and out.
Well, but maybe old school newspapers had the same impact.
True.
Who knows? So anyway, there you go. There's some wise words about toilet scrolls. So we're not escaping more toilet talk. And actually, our first clip, we had an interesting revelation whether you had a preference of lid up, lid down on your toilet before you flush. Now it turns out I was always lid up, right? I mean, I never thought about it. But Karen and Tom, they were like, definitely lid down. It's got to be lid down. I mean, Cath, you weren't part of that episode, so where do you stand on this debate?
Well, I, like Karen and Tom, did already know that if you flush your loo with the lid open, you're flinging poo particles around your bathroom, and that's just unacceptable. But I have a slow close toilet lid, so I tend to whack it down, press the button, but because it's slow close, I mean, I think I'm in a halfway house where the lid is closing but not fully down. But I do know it should be down for hygiene purposes.
Well, but I'd heard the opposite, and again, this is on the clip, right? But these poo particles are good at building your immune system and making you super strong.
Well, you know, there's probably other ways to build your immune system, Mike.
Well, it's not done me any harm.
That is true.
So first, we'll be reopening that debate, and then we've got Andrew Tucker, who is I think it's fair to say he's a friend of the show from Thames Water, and he'll be giving us some of the insight that they've got from their Leaky Loos and their whole smart metering stuff. So that is a clip that's well worth replaying. Now, on the topic of people getting in touch, this item, before we get into the interview with Andrew, is something that was sent in by a regular listener, Jenny. And this is an article from The Guardian. I love this kind of nonsense. It's great. So this article was all about your toilet habits and whether you have, and this really fits in with today's theme, do you flush lid up or lid down? Now, apparently this really matters because when you flush, that projects particles, and some of those particles are full of nasties that you may get onto things like your toothbrush. You might breathe it in, might go into your cup of coffee if you've been sitting on the loo with a cup of coffee. You don't want that stuff. However, there is a counter argument that says actually being exposed to this kind of stuff is good for you. It's good for your immune system. So I'd never really thought about this lid up, lid down. Sounds all a bit Karate Kid to me. But we're a lid up household, right? So what about you guys? Karen, where do you stand on this big issue?
Oh, I'm definitely a lid down girl.
Are you? Every time? Wow.
Yep, I'm very disciplined in that respect.
And how's your immune system?
I think I'm a fairly healthy specimen.
Oh, well, I think so. I think you are. Yeah. Any listeners who want to check us out on Instagram, we can look at pictures of Karen and comment on how healthy she is. Feel free. Tom, where do you stand on this?
I've always been lid down as well. I just had that instinct. You just don't want all that things flying around. And my generation, we were brought up on how clean is your house. I don't know if you remember that on Channel 4.
Oh, I do.
Kim and Aggie. But that was one of their cardinal rules, was to keep the lid down. Yeah, and that's always stuck with me.
Do you know what? If you'd said to me, 10 minutes ago, right, we're going to do this item at the start, and you two are both going to say lid down, I would have been, I'm genuinely shocked at this. I'm the outlier. Wow. Well, and I'm so healthy. With my turbocharged immune system for all the particles of poop that I've been ingesting for the last half decade. Oh.
Mike, just respectfully keep a lid on it. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, here we go. Well, that does pivot nicely to today's guest, because Andrew Tucker's a great guy. He does like talking. Maybe he should keep a lid on it. I think he's great. I'm still struck by your stat that says 9% of the homes have constant flow somewhere in the house. So you did say 5% were Leaky Loos. What about the other chunk of that? Do you know where that's coming from?
Yeah, I do, mate. So it's a fairly simple mix of things like dripping taps, dripping showers, connections into appliances, and also the supply pipe. So the pipe that's sort of, if you've got where your supply pipe that goes into your house, where that might connect onto the water company network out in the street or out on the pavement, that pipe that runs in the front garden, under the driveway, towards your house, that's on the customer's asset. So that pipe there also is a contributing factor to water loss. So all those things add up to that 9% that we're seeing. And that 9% number is pretty static. That's what we see daily. No matter how many extra meters we put in there, it's pretty static. The extra piece that's really, really important there is the water loss that's happening on a household site in the building or even a business. That continuous flow is also being registered on like water company leakage. So we know that our leakage is too high. That's why we're increasing leakage teams and saving more water across the board there. But 29 to 30% of our leak, the number that we report as leakage, is actually the continuous flow happening on a business or a household side. So addressing that, fixing leaky loos, fixing dripping taps and pipes in homes and businesses also benefits the wider leakage number that we all see.
Great to hear from Andrew there. I'm just going to take us back a little bit. We spoke about moss earlier, and now we're going to speak about moss again.
We can't get enough of moss.
We love moss. It's now the Waterfall Moss Cast. Moss Cast? Could that be a thing? No, that sounds terrible.
That could be a thing. Don't encourage Tom.
Yeah.
No, he loves a pun. Moss, if you think Karen's water use was impressive, that is nothing compared to what we heard from Laura Moss at inaugural Waterfall Live episode, the most terrifying thing I've ever done. Laura's water use is, I was going to say off the chart, but it's like literally the opposite. It's kind of like bottom of it.
It's not on the chart, really. Yeah.
No, not on the chart. So we'll have a listen to that. I think I was really impressed. And then talking about behaviour change, we all know that you save water through making small changes. As Karen said, she hadn't done anything monumental or life-changing, but that water use was low. We heard from Craig at Ondo and Sasha from Southern Water about LeakBot, which is something, actually, if I had a LeakBot in my house, I'd have known that bath was running for 5 hours, wouldn't I? That would have saved me a lot of water. LeakBot detects leaks in your home. It's helping you change your water behaviour so that you too can have water usage like Karen and Laura's.
So LeakBot, Craig, are you listening? Can you just arrange for Cath to get a LeakBot sent to her? She'll email you her address later.
Let's go down to the bottom end. Tom, I can't see the very bottom of this. Was there anyone who said, here we go, 10%, anyone who said less than 50? Yes, 10% said less than 50. So, are you willing to put your hand up and let's see if we can find who's the lowest in the room, right? So if you answered that 10, stick your hand up. Well, some of you did.
Somebody
said the number here. I've got objective proof. Right? Less than 50. Who voted less than 50? This is someone just messing about, right? Okay. Oh, Laura Moss. Come on, Cath, speak to Laura. This is good. You're making up for Nick. So let's just, what if the lowest water user in the room?
So, our last bill, there's 4 of us in the house and its average is 44.
44?
We're very strict with the kids. We don't allow them in.
That is amazing. That's actually the lowest we've ever had on Waterfall. And we've got a whole episode on the leaderboard, by the way. Episode 46, worth checking out. Well done, Laura. You get yourself. Do you know what? We're giving away this. This is Tim Smedley, who came on to talk about his book. He came on to Waterfall. This is a great episode. This last drop is an excellent book, right? Really, really enjoyed it. So you get that. A mug. You're getting the mulch mug, which is Karen's mantra. And, of course, a fridge magnet. So let's have a big hand to Laura, our lowest water user in the room.
Yeah, so the results from the Portsmouth pilot were quite compelling. I mean, the other things that we thought of after that is and this is some of the things that we're doing with Sasha and Southern, is fixing leaky loos is obviously one big opportunity. But we've also, what we realised with this trial is we've got really high engagement with an app. And at the moment, that's all tailored to an insurance use case, but it leads you to other questions on, well, is there other ways that we can nudge people to better water efficiency behaviors at home? Signaling, like we can see, when someone's using water, if consistently, like my LeakBot often alerts me because we've got a teenager, and often for some reason she can spend more than half an hour in the shower. So I'm getting an alert on my phone. Water's been running for half an hour. Do you know what it is? I actually do know.
Yeah, it's not a leak. Yeah.
But are there other ways that we can nudge people to to better behaviours to drive water efficiency as well? I think there's a real opportunity there.
Absolutely. Certainly we're all about that on Waterfall, saving water. I think in our back catalogue, we've got episodes on saving water in the bathroom, in the kitchen, in the garden. We've got Leaking Facts, episode number 9, which we talked about exactly this, all those kind of small leaks that you probably don't know are happening and how they all add up to A, waste water, and B, cost you some money.
So you can argue that we've saved the best to last, because we couldn't go through the best of season 3 without having the wonderful Tony Valentin on the show. So we've got a couple of Tony V clips. To be fair, you could have just replayed the entire episode with Tony on it, because it was so good. And we've picked out these clips. So one of them, both of them make us smile for different reasons. The first clip is Tony's explanation of how he discovered Waterfall. And, I often wonder how people stumble across us. And so Tony explains that, and it's very amusing. I mean, I still to this day don't know how he actually managed to conclude that we passed all his tests. And then, Cath, this is one for you. Tony shares his views on mulching. And again, it was a bit of a hug fest between Tony and Karen. And again, they bonded over mulching. Yet another topic they were bonding over. So I felt very out of place on that episode, but it was wonderful.
It is lovely, and I think we know Tony and Karen. Perhaps we should get them doing a podcast episode just alone. Maybe that's season 4.
Now we've got to ask you, how did you find us on the whole wide world of podcasts and just come across Waterfall?
I just I did several searches, and when the list of podcasts pop up, I read the descriptions, and I've been listening to podcasts since it first emerged as a media source, quite a few years ago while I was teaching. And students being the way they are, young people, they're very open to new forms of media. So I thought podcasts might be a way for me to find new sources of information for my students. So back then, I would go in and I would do searches, but in this particular case, water was the key. So I just put water in the search in my Apple Podcasts. And then I got quite a bit of results. So I went through each one and read the descriptions and just knocked out the ones that sounded frivolous, non-academic, non-impactful, knocked those all out. Then I ended up with 2 or 3. And all those other of the few that I actually downloaded podcasts on and tested them out, yours is the only one that survived. The other ones were deleted. So your podcast has gone through a rather vigorous, screening by me, and you guys made it. So congratulations.
Well, that is awesome. Like we're genuinely, this is music to our ears. I'm still amazed we actually passed the first test, the frivolous test. You clearly weren't paying attention for some of the episodes.
Oh, I did, but I got to tell you, I don't like podcasts that are like lectures. I like podcasts that are interactive. There's an exchange between the host and humorous, because even as a teacher, I understood that humor has a lot of value in conveying information and having that information stick.
So I've got to ask, while we're on the topic of gardening, where does mulching fit in to your gardening approach in your house?
Wow, I have to tap into Karen Mulching, absolutely pivotal. Absolutely pivotal.
Oh no!
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
I am on such a losing streak.
I'm in charge of the composting of our kitchen scraps, and when I mow the grass in my backyard, I have to compost all of that, and I use part of that to mulch the garden that my wife and my son have. They don't do it. I do it because I'm in charge of the compost and everything. I don't want them touching my compost, So I do that, and they've gotten quite a bumper crop. And I tell them that it's because of that mulching and the compost that I provided them, that their work was very minimal in the positive results that they've gotten. It was all that other stuff that doesn't get mentioned, but is absolutely important.
Always good to hear Tony on Waterfall. We should just get him back on. We don't really need an excuse, do we?
No.
But all those clips in today's episode, they're really fun. They made us smile, made us think. And actually, water saving isn't a dry topic, pun intended, entirely. So I hope you enjoyed listening to that.
You're right, that was great. And we've got so much coming up in season 4. Loads more really great guests lined up for us. We're back after Easter, so look out. Make sure you subscribe so that pops up on your podcasts. And the team will look forward to delivering informative, helpful content to you. And I'll just talk too much.
And don't forget, if you do have ideas about what you'd like us to cover in season 4, you can email us at podcast@ccwater.org.uk, and do check us out in the meantime on social media. We are on CCW's official channels, so that's CCW Voice. Just search for that, you will find us. So thank you so much for listening. We've really enjoyed getting your feedback throughout the year, and thank you so much for listening. We really hope you enjoy it, and really hope it's helping you save water. So that's all from me, Mike. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you in season 4, everyone. It's going to be sooner than you think.